basically I was like, hey, I'm like, I know you guys are staring, but listen, laughter is like a fort. Let it go, but don't force it out. Sorry, but kind of had to. But I kind of helped break the ice. I forgot what to say next. Okay. Hi, my name is Nawaal Akram. I'm 22 years old. I'm born brought up in Doha. I'm Kashmiri, Pakistani, and basically I've been doing disability activism since I was 14 years old. I've been in Paralympic training. I'm a comedian. I've been an education above all youth advocate. And for my advocacy work, I've been recognized as one of the 100 most influential women in the world by BBC Worldwide 2017. And till this day, I continue my activism work and on the side comedy. Is that, girls, they sometimes talk about each other. Look at the way she dresses or walks. I'm like, I don't even walk. What would she say? Look at the way she drives. Right?
She rolls.
Right? See me rolling. I never really, I actually wanted to be a doctor when I was a child, but it kind of took a switch turn from a doctor to a comedian when I was 14, because when I was 10 years old, I was taken out of education because of my disability, and after that, no school in Doha took me because of my disability. So I was stuck at home. I was watching comedians like Kevin Hart, Dave Chappelle, Gabriel Iglesias.
Keep in mind, I almost died. Whenever you come close to death, you become traumatized. Hard to get that shit out your head. I kept having flashbacks. We in a car.
What I've seen, like majority of those comedians, is that like they made fun of their misery in a way. So I think it was like that moment where I was like, oh, I can talk about all these issues, but in a funny way, like because in a sense, if I'm talking in a school or something, and I'm like, oh, I didn't go to school, but I got all of these awards. They're like, we should drop out of school, and I'm like, no, don't. So the transition part, which was hard, was like how was it easier for me to go and perform comedy on stage but not get education? So those were like the hard parts, right? Because yeah, you can joke about a lot of things, but it can still be very traumatizing sometimes. So, but you find comedy as a tool to kind of like lessen your thought about how serious the situation is.
A very diverse group of young men and women representing education above all.
Society somehow they have like this view of what disability is, and I don't fit that mold, and majority of people don't. They don't fill that mold of what society thinks a disability is. I'm just sitting on my butt. There's nothing else different. You're standing, I'm sitting, that's it. It's simple as that, but people have their own images in their head, which they project out on you, and that's what I basically talked about in comedy. My experiences of people asking, how do you sleep as a disabled person? How else would I sleep? I haven't actually asked that. So I usually talk about just my life and my experiences as a disabled person on stage, and what it did, it kind of helped the conversation of disability, like normalizing it, because it's not normalized as it should be. Because when I would go on stage and I would talk, people would find it funny, but then they wouldn't laugh because they're like, is it bad that I'm laughing at this? The whole point of a comedy show is for you to laugh. So if I'm on stage, it's for you to laugh. So this is a big issue during doing performances. So yeah, and people were not used to, right? When was the last time you saw a disabled person performing comedy? Showcase people with disabilities as TV hosts, anchors, as normal people, and in tourism videos. In tourism videos, we would see them, we would normalize them because for 1 year when I was performing comedy, no one knew about it. It took me 10 shows to find my style. In the end, there was a lot of feedback that was good. And then the second year into performing comedy, like I had journalists approaching who were actually watching the shows. So they saw me progress as a comedian, and once they thought I was funny enough, they approached for an interview. So that was that's nice knowing that they didn't approach you because you're disabled, they approached you because they liked your work. After that feedback of those 2 years of performing comedy, I was like, I can go and do this, like, maybe as a job, because there's sometimes I've been hired as a comedian, so that was great. Don't ever let someone tell you cannot do anything. You have to go out and try. Teachers and parents who had children with disabilities and they were attending the comedy shows, but they were not expecting me, so when they saw me performing, they would come and tell me, oh, I have like a disabled daughter, a disabled son. They picture their child not being an engineer or a doctor, but like a comedian. I think those are my proud moments of a show.
I'm gonna count 1, 2, 3. You know, I love messing with people's heads. I do that. You know, I want to tick off slowly just to build up the tension. You know, I love doing that. You know, especially there was this couple.
I never had that image of like, oh, women aren't funny stereotype until I started performing, and like more male comedians were like, oh, women aren't funny.
Did it make you like doubt yourself? Do you think, oh, maybe I'm not funny?
Nah, it's because firstly, even if they meet someone that's funny and it's a woman, because they have internalized in their head that no, woman cannot be like this, they will still not find her funny. So there's no point of me pleasing someone that will never be pleased.
Viewers, it's an absolute pleasure and honor for me and my team to have her on my show today. Let's welcome Nawaal Akram.
Nawaal Akram.
Nawaal Akram ki.
Yeah, Nawaal, I'm so excited about this episode.
The struggle of being a comedian or a female comedian, that you don't get that support out of your circle from other male comedians. So even if you get recognized internationally for your work, you still don't get the chance to perform in your own communities because the men over there have more power than you. So they kind of abuse that power dynamic because they feel threatened in some way, and they will publicly insult you, and I have had those issues. So essentially what I realized in public when they do that, people will eventually get to see how they're rude. It shows their own insecurity. They kind of have this one syndrome that they want to be the only one with like a spotlight on them. The issue is the whole approval part takes very long. So when we send our script, we should at least be given a chance to perform our script in front of the person who will give the approval, so they understand it more, right? Because if I'm doing comedy and I'm making jokes about disabled people, they don't know I'm disabled. They don't know I have a disability. They don't know where I'm coming from. So maybe my script might not get approved, which is like killing the comedy industry in the country. Because there's a lot of comedians who want to obey the law, who want to respect the culture, and we want to be funny, right? It would kind of help us develop that talent and performance to get to the international stage. We want our own Kevin Hart, Gabriel Iglesias.
This is my act for tonight, guys. I'll see you next time.
Thank you so much, Nawaal, and thank you everyone for coming. You have been great.